Good morning, Den Bosch. It's been a very, very long time since we've said these words here, but here we are. FC Den Bosch are back in the Eredivisie. For the first time since 2005, top flight football returned to the Dragon's Den. Not just as a favor, not just as a preseason friendly, but actually earned the hard way through patience, structure, and belief. A season ago, this club was tipped to finish 9th in the second division, and now we're stepping into the biggest stage in Dutch football once again. And as we begin this new chapter, there's one thing that hasn't changed and won't change. This club is not built on signings, it's built on identity. The Youth Academy now has a name that carries weight. They're calling it the Dragon's Forge. Not a factory, not a shortcut, but a place where players are shaped, tested, and trusted. And at the heart of that philosophy sits a number that already feels heavier than most shirts in the club. Number 65. Founded in 1965, the birth year of this club in its modern form. The Forge number. Worn not by the stars, but by responsibility. It's not earned by goals or by performance in the youth system. It's earned by belief and the trust that they could be the next great. And this season, that belief and trust has been placed squarely on the shoulders of a 16-year-old. Al Hassan Suleimana, fresh from the Dragon's Forge, will be a part of the first team squad this season. He traveled in preseason, he trained with the big boys, he held his own, and now he's also been handed the number 65. Not because he's ready right now, but because the club believes he will be. A young dragon forged early. And up top for the team this season is a name that everyone here knows. Rafi Walters. A new 5-year deal, one of the highest paid players at the club now, and the new wearer of the number 9 on his back. From academy product to leading the line in the Eredivisie at just 19 years old. It's not a contract, it's an entire statement. Now let's be honest, all of this is great, but the outside world isn't buying the romance. Preseason predictions are in, and the media have Den Bosch projected to finish 18th, dead last, straight back down to the second tier. And the opener doesn't offer any mercy. This Friday night, away at FC Utrecht, a side that finished 7th last season. There's no easing into this, no grace period, just the harsh reality of the Eredivisie. Whatever happens this season, Den Bosch won't abandon who we are now. We're going to stay built, not bought. We're going to trust the Dragon's Forge, and we're going to wear our badge with pride. Welcome back to the Eredivisie. This is only the beginning.
And so just like that, FC Den Bosch are finally back in the Eredivisie. So let's take a look before we hop in and start year number 2 with what happened in the off season. Now obviously, not a lot happened because, well, it's not like we can dive into the transfer market. We did, however, re-sign Hachim Achefe, the kind of question mark we had going into this season, the kind of will they, won't they type of thing. I can't lie to you guys. From what I saw, no one else in the entire world offered him another contract but us. So I don't think he had that many options. He signed a new 2-year deal for just $75,000 a season. So a good deal for us, team-friendly contract, and he's only on a squad player deal. So it's pretty nice. Now, coming into this season, a lot of things changed. And you might even be able to tell from looking down from top to bottom on the best ability starting at the top. Some of these players, I guess, either progressed in the offseason or progressed throughout the year that we really didn't use a lot. The first one being Ilias Boom. It's not his real name. His real name is, that. Look, man, there's a reason that his name's Ilias Boom now, because he's finna bring the boom. Anyway, I do remember him from last year. We played him a little bit last year. He played 12 matches. Two of those were starts. No, I lied. One of those was a start in the league, 11 of them off the bench. He averaged a 7 in his time, but I think it's because I mainly looked at him like he was only a 10. Now, we did have him training at that left winger, and now that he can play it fully, well, as you see, he's one of the better players on the team, if not the best. And he's only one of a small handful of people that are actually good enough that's quality Eredivisie type of talent. So Elias Boom is going to be somebody that's not new like a youth intake player, not new like we signed him, but new to us because he didn't get to feature that much last season. So he's one to keep an eye on for this year. A couple other players that have made the jump up is, never mind. I thought, that's weird, Mies LaRoche, just a couple days ago in the game, said he was a decent Eredivisie talent. Now he's leading for the third division, so I have no idea. But that kind of shows you, the talent our team has, which is not great for the Eredivisie. Again, another player, our best center back, leading for the third division. So there's not a lot of good quality here, and we knew that. Last year getting promoted was a big success and a big overachievement. We were projected to finish ninth last year. We kind of, well overperformed and finished third. A couple of new players that are in the first team. Davi Busby, we have brought up. He just turned 18. He's in the first team. I don't know how much we'll see from him featuring in the team. He's up here. He's training with the first team. He's still going to be available for the U19s, but barring injuries or rotations, we could see a very first team debut for Davi. Now, another one that you guys heard in the radio show intro is obviously Al Hassan Sulemana. His name is so long, it cuts off. The number 65, the important number 65, he is in the first team, and he will be definitely getting minutes. Now, we've had like 3 or 4 of our players wanted by AZ. As you can see, Al Hassan's one of them. They made a couple offers for Duran, the new American guy. They made a couple offers for Billy Mills, as they're still interested in Billy Mills. And speaking of Billy Mills, he got those couple of appearances last year, about 9 in total. And this season, he's only gone up. So he's going to be somebody that actually is going to be starting in this first game that we're going to play right here. Now you can see preseason was rough for us. We have a lot of people injured. Shetty Bargland, the starting right back, he's out for another week. Reda, who's one of our kind of starting rotation guy center backs, he's out for a couple more days. Bart Kimmerin, who knows, man. Bart, he's another guy like Boom that was on the team last year, was in the U19s, never has made a first team appearance for the actual FC Den Bosch pro team, first team, and he now really progressed over the last season. He's one of the better center backs on the team. As you can see, he's the 5th best center back. So he's a guy that's going to play this season. Luckily, we had a decent youth to start with, even outside of the new gen. So he's going to be getting some feature, especially with some of these injuries we're seeing. TVL, just like last season, is actually injured to start off the league. And the worst one is Mies LaRoche is out about 2 weeks. So not a great start to start the season when we have all of those injuries. But let's go ahead and break down today's starting 11 as we are starting the season against FC Utrecht away on the road. Before we do that, though, let me show you guys the season preview. Utrecht is projected to finish 6th. They finished 7th in the league last year, so this is not an easy game by any means to start off. We are projected to finish dead last in 18th. And I can't really blame them. I can't really blame them at all. They think our best lineup's a 4-4-2. Obviously, that's not what we are running. We are running the Blue Shield, especially up here in the Eredivisie. So, today's starting 11. Mies Bakker is back in net. Last year's Golden Glove winner in the 2nd division. Hopefully, he can make the jump up this year and really help us out back there, because I have a bad feeling a lot of these games could go very bad this year. I'll be honest with you guys. I will be praying that we can just survive relegation year 1. I don't see us making an overperformance like last year. I think at best we finish like 15-14 and just by the skin of our teeth survive relegation. So on the left of our back 3 is obviously TVG, just like last season. You'll notice a couple of these players have their new faces where they actually are in the real kits we're wearing. So TVG is one of those guys. He's on the left. We have Nick de Groot in the middle, the 5'11" center back with great tackling, a little bit of his passing and stuff to kind of spray balls from the middle of the 3, and then LVK, Lucky Luck, on the right side. Now, he wouldn't normally be the starter, but like I showed you guys, 2 of our center backs are injured for this first debut game, which is unfortunate. So he's the weakest of the back 3. He still has a lot of work to do with his mental abilities, but overall, we make do with what we got. On the left wing back position is Stan Mass. He played that position 90% of the year last year, barring injuries. He's a very good, well-rounded left back. You guys know him. Right wing back position, as I showed you guys earlier, Shetty is injured, so Sergio Orlemans is stepping in. He's a great youngster. He doesn't have the greatest tools physically, but he's really well-rounded again, so not bad. Now in the midfield, we have Kevin Felita on the left. Everybody remembers him from last year. He's got a nice new face picture in the new kits. Not much has changed about him. He's just a nice, well-rounded midfielder that can play defensively, going forward, just enough. Nothing special, but a very good, solid overall guy. And then next to him, the 17-year-old Billy Mills is starting our game number 1 in the Eredivisie. So hopefully we can see something good from Billy Mills. At the very least, I'm just hoping he can hold his own. Now the top 3, Elias Boom is making his start for us this year in the Eredivisie on the left side, cutting in with his right. As you guys can see, he's got great decision making, great passing skills, and then good dribbling, good first touch, good technique, with a little bit of good pace and excel. So I'm really hoping that I kind of just, glossed him over last year. I have no idea why, but again, I think it's because he was only a midfielder and we were teaching him left wing, and now he really knows left wing. Either way, though, happy he's still on the team. Happy he's here for 2 more seasons, because I think he's going to be a big key for us trying to stay not relegated this year. And then over on the right, Kevin Manzialo, the guy who was playing left wing all of last year, we've now shifted over to the right. He's got a decent left foot, same stats from last year. A very key player for us. He had 14 goals last season, so I'm hoping that he can get 5 or 6 this year up in the top flight. And then up top, the new number 9 on a new 5-year contract is Rafi Walters. He has been progressing very well. Obviously, last year he had 17 league goals, and we're hoping that he can get close to that production in the Eredivisie. If he cracks double digits, I will be just, flying off the charts if we can get that out of our 19-year-old striker. So that is the lineup. Let's go ahead and hop in to game number 1 against FC Utrecht away. All right, here we go. Zach Steffen, the American, is in net for FC Utrecht. FC Den Bosch is obviously, like I said, coming out in our blue shield formation, as we are really hoping that this season we can just survive. As you guys see, 17 and 18, the bottom 2, they go down automatically. If you finish in 16th, you have to play a relegation promotion playoff against one of the teams that are trying to come up from the 2nd division. So at the very least, I'm hoping we can finish in 16th. We can fight our way out of relegation and stay up in the top flight, but we're going to see what happens. I think we're in for a very tricky situation, a very tricky season, as Stan Mass starts off the season a minute in, chopping somebody down on FC Utrecht. Setting the tone, baby. Letting them know what the Blue Shield's all about. I think, though, this season, like I said, it's going to be a struggle. I think we are going to have very low possession for most of the season. I think we're going to play haram ball, a little bit of a, Jose Mourinho type beat, where we are going to pretty much not park the bus, but we're going to play as defensive as we can and just try to spring balls over the top and win some 1-0 games, because we just don't have the quality. We didn't have the quality last year, and you know how that went. We overperformed, but I'm terrified that the Eredivisie is going to really, expose us. Noah Ohio almost gets a goal early in the 13th minute, but luckily Backer sends it back, and now they have a corner coming up in the 14th minute. So far, it is all Utrecht, which, kind of expecting. Hopefully, you guys get a little bit better match experience than the one we started off last season, where we had no highlights and we lost 3-0, and it's looking like it's going to go that way, as Alonso sends a crazy ball from outside of the box, and we go down early, 1-0 in the 14th minute. Ooh, or how did we get saved? Disallowed. How? Was that not a shot from outside of the box? What did I miss? Did it get touched by somebody near the keeper or something? Oh. Yeah. Good job, VAR. Okay, so we got saved early. I did not see that in real time. I was very confused, but hey, man, shout out to VAR and the refs. That's why they do their jobs. Am I right? We love the Zebras. We love them. Okay, so coming up on the 20th minute, still not a lot happening. They are dominating possession, but that's kind of our game. We just want to play defensive. We want to spring that counter forward. We want to spring that counter attack going forward, and really just hope we can kind of, get something cooking. Now, I will say there's a possibility that we kind of maybe add a third tactic down the line where we have two strikers, because if we keep getting all these good strikers from the intake, we're gonna have to use them. But that's down the line. As Billy Mills now is getting the ball in our own half, maybe we can start a counterattack here as Sergio gets it up to Manzialo. Manzialo gets it up to Rafi Walters, who is facing a wall of defenders. Oh my God. And he went for an insane poke from way outside the box, and it actually challenged Zach Steffen for a second. 10 minutes before half, that would have been potentially the goal of the save if that was even. I mean, if that hit, I think I would have exploded a little bit. All right, 5 minutes before half, 0-0. I'm not going to be too mad at that for the first half. We haven't had the greatest opportunities, the greatest chances yet, but maybe one is coming now as Stan Mass is going up the left, gives it to Elias Boom, who gives it back to Mass. Mass looking to try to go over the top to Walters, can't find him, as now Utrecht is going to have a counter of their own. They are stretching it way out wide. I don't know what's happening. Sergio's not challenging him. He kicks it into the box, and Noah Ohio finally gets their well-deserved goal onto the board as Miesbacher tried to stop it, got a hand on it, but it's still, at the end of the day, gets into the back of the net. So we're going to go into the locker room down 1-0. Hopefully we can give these boys a little bit of encouragement, maybe make some subs later into the game, and maybe, just maybe, rescue a draw out of our first match back in the Eredivisie in about 21 seasons. Got another highlight before half, but I don't know how much this will actually be a highlight. We roll it out to TVG, who gives it up to Mass. Mass is now taking it up the left. That's what I like to see. We got numbers going forward. Mass is trying to beat his man, and he doesn't. He sends it right into his feet. I don't like what Mass was doing. It's going to go out of bounds, and that is going to be half. All right, here we go in the second half. Hopefully we just get a little bit more shots on target, or shots in general, really. We haven't had the greatest opportunity going forward. We've had chances like Stan Mass, and then he, that one last in the last bit of the first half, he kind of had a good chance going forward, ended up losing the possession to the right back, but hopefully we can kind of start feeling the game out a little bit more and put a little bit more pressure on it, trying to get a little bit more going forward. But they are now on the ball. Kevin makes a great tackle that goes out of bounds. That's what we like to see from those midfielders. Those are the guys that have to be the first line of defense, stopping them from getting to our back line. So I like to see that aggressiveness out of those midfielders. Man, they have had the ball. They have had the highlights. They've had everything going in their direction. So I really hope that we can, stop the bleeding, because I think if they get another one goal, the floodgates might open. And here they go. Miguel Rodriguez slips it over the top to Noah Ohio, who hits the post, and we luckily get out of there without a goal, as they have been all over us to start the second half. All right, again, here we go. Just 10 minutes after we just were watching, not even. They're back in the 53rd minute. Utrecht passing the ball all over, dribbling down the left side now, right past Sergio. Sergio gets blendered, let's be honest. And oh my God, Luck chops his man down in the box. That is an absolute penalty all day long. I don't even think he got close to touching the ball. I'm pretty sure he just took that man's knee out. Yeah, penalty awarded in the 53rd. Miesbacher is going to be his backup against the wall as they are coming straight down for a penalty away. The crowd's on their side. Miesbacher goes the wrong way, and Utrecht is now up 2-0. So, shades of our first match last season to start off the season. This season is 2-0. Last season was 3-0. The problem is this is a better team, and a lot more game is still left. So, not a great start for us. All right. 65th minute, I think it's only right to put in our new number 65. The young Al Hassan Sulemana is making his pro debut away against FC Utrecht in the Eredivisie with about 15 minutes left in the game. I lied. About 25 minutes left in the game. Trust me, I can actually do math. So here we go. We got a couple subs on. We have one more sub we can make, but who knows what that's going to be. Oh my God, Noah Ohio just takes the ball, one touch, turns and shoots. See, that's the stuff I'm terrified of this season, where the quality is so much better that I am very terrified for our defenders, where we have to play against people who can do things like that. It's going to be interesting to see how many games we have where we might get beat by 4 or 5 goals in a few games, especially against the Ajaxes and the PSVs and all that stuff. Sends it into the box. thought something good was going to come for it. EJ Semedo on the left wing back. Hopefully this is his game. He should be able to beat people, whip a good ball into the box. He looks for Hachima Chefe, who almost gets us a goal back. Zach Steffen with a great save, but we do get a corner out of this. And of course, no corner highlight. Man, I hate when you got good stuff coming. Okay, now here's the corner highlight. I was just about to complain about no highlight. Coming up in the 85th minute. I don't know why our corner taker right now is one of our center backs. I need to look at that because there's no way that's our best corner taker. Way over the top to Hachima Chefe, who's looking for somebody in the box. Oh my God, he finds Sulemana, who can't do anything with it. It bounces off a defender, but we're keeping the pressure on. Fortes over back post to Manzialo. Can't find it. Going in for a throw on, but it's to us, and no highlight comes from it. As we had a little bit of good 5 minutes there of run where that's at least something that we can build on. You know, we had a little bit of momentum. We had a little bit of motion going on for about a 5 or 6 minute run there. But I think our luck has ran out, and it has indeed. So match day number 1 up in the Eredivisie, we have lost 2-0 away to FC Utrecht. All in all, could have been worse. Shots were 18-8, possession 59-41. The one goal was a penalty given up by a bad youngster center back who, you know, usually isn't a starter. I can make excuses all day long, but at the end of the day, a loss is a loss is a loss. And we were the underdogs big time. We're going to be the underdogs pretty much all season long. It just is what it is. You know, we're projected to finish dead last for a reason, and you know that's just how it goes. But there was a couple bright spots. You know, we had that 5 or 6 minutes where we looked dangerous. Al Hassan Sulemana got to make his first debut for the club, and overall, hopefully, we can kind of make something shake. So we're gonna do just like we did last video. I'm now gonna play a handful, not a handful. I'm gonna play a handful of months, not a handful of games, and we're gonna come back around December, around the midway point, catch up, listen to the radio show, midway show, watch some highlights, and then we will go and play a couple more games, get to the youth intake, and then see how this club is finishing in the Eredivisie in our first season back. So that is the plan, and I will see you guys back here in a second. Welcome back to another halfway season report for FC Den Bosch. Now, when we were here last season, the Dragons were flying. They were sitting first in the table in the second division, and obviously this year's a bit different. The blue and white are back in the top flight of Dutch football, but things aren't going quite as well as everyone was hoping. Maybe actually they are. But before I keep yapping, let's do what we always do. Let's tune into the TV, turn on the Dragons Den Blue and White radio show, and watch some highlights to see how the first 17 games have gone.
Good evening, Den Bosch. You've tuned in to the Dragons Den Blue and White radio, and if you're listening tonight, it means one thing: we are still here. 17 matches into our first Eredivisie campaign since 2005, and FC Den Bosch sit 15th on 16 points. It's not pretty, it's not that comfortable, but we're alive, and that matters more than anything right now. Now let's rewind this because the season didn't ease us in. 2 straight losses away to open up the campaign. 2-0 and then 4-1. And suddenly the question everyone was asking was, have we bitten off too much? And then at home at the Dragons Den, we answered. A 2-0 home win over Feyenoord, powered by a brace from Hachima Chefe, flipped the entire script. That wasn't just survival football, that was belief for the entire club. Some of the highs we've already seen this year has shown that the club does belong here. A 4-4 insane draw at NEC, full of chaos, courage, and zero fear. And then we go to a 6-3 win at home against Sparta Rotterdam. A Chefe with a hat trick. The Dragons Den was absolutely rocking. I mean, 9 goals in one game and 6 of them coming from the hometown club. That was one of the craziest matches I've seen, maybe in the last decade. And then probably the moment of the season so far, a 1-1 draw against Ajax at home, with 19-year-old Rafi Walters scoring, and not scoring against the academy side Ajax. This is Ajax, the giants of this league, the giants of the country. One fan tweeted us that night and he said, I don't care where we finish, Rafi scoring against Ajax means absolutely everything to this project. And it really does. The kid that came through the academy, the kid that led us up to the promotion, and now the kid that is scoring against Ajax and hopefully helping us stay up in the top flight. But then there's the other side of the coin, the reality check. Injuries have crushed this momentum that we were starting to build. Mies Bakker, our rock and goal, he's out for months. Kevin Manzialo sidelined just as the season for him was heating up, and we've had a total of 11 players missing over 2 weeks each. We've dropped points maybe that we shouldn't have, the draws are starting to pile up, and the performances haven't always followed the plan. But here's the thing, Den Bosch. This club certainly doesn't quit. Rafi Walters is shaking off his brutal start, and he now sits on 8 league goals. Achefe is stepping up when we needed him most, and debut goals from kids out of the Dragon's Forge are proof that this isn't survival, it is a solid foundation that we are building with this philosophy. So with 17 matches left, the question is simple. Can we, FC Den Bosch, survive the drop? And I think we absolutely can. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I think we can absolutely stop the relegation from happening. So stay loud, stay proud. The Dragon is not done fighting it yet. This has been the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio. We'll be right here every step of the way.
So here we are, 17 matches into the first season back in the top flight, and like you guys heard in the radio show, we're not doing great, but to be honest, it could be a lot worse. We are in 15th place. We've played 17, only have 3 wins to show for it, 7 draws, 7 losses, a -6 goal differential, which isn't, honestly, it's not that bad compared to the other teams around us, and we're sitting on 16 points. So, with half the season left, obviously the goal is what it always has been for this season, to try to survive and stay up in the Eredivisie and not go down. We are obviously tied on points with 16 and 17 right behind us. So, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough to see what happens. If we can at least finish in 16th, we won't go down automatically. We'll have to go to a playoff against one of the teams in the second division, but at least our season isn't already written off as automatically relegated. Now, some of the matches that we've been playing, I know some of it was covered in the midway show and all that stuff, but I just still wanted you guys to see what the season has looked like from top to bottom. So we played Utrecht together, lost 2-0. That second game against Groningen, we lost 4-1. And then we did get that first win, like they said, 2-0 against Feyenoord, and then it was right back to the same. Back-to-back 3-0 losses, away and home. A really weird, crazy scoring goals against NEC 4-4. We had a lot of goal scoring, but they also did too. And then, of course, in the 87th minute, we collapsed and gave up the draw. Now, something else that they probably mentioned is we've had so many injuries this season. And we'll show you that here in a second, but I wanted you, again, to see the entire season. So we've had a lot of bad losses, 3-0s, 2-1s, a few that we should have been able to get some points in, 1-0 losses here, 2-1 losses here. Again, a lot of draws. We have 7 draws on the season, which all in all, when you look at it at the end of the year, those are probably going to be the things that might save us from relegation or might be the ones that get us relegated because we couldn't get the extra points out of those matches. So that is what it is. Now, the cup games, we have been absolutely just smoking because we keep getting draws against teams that are literally like in the 4th or 5th division of the entire pyramid. So we've been 4-0 and 7-0 the cup games. So we're into the 3rd round of the cup, which is fun, but also is going to add more games, which means more tired legs, which could mean more injuries. But speaking of injuries, let me show you guys what we have been dealing with this season because it's honestly insane. So if we just look here, we've had 48 injuries this season alone, which is just bonkers considering we're only halfway through the season. And then if you look, we have so many players that have missed days and days and days recently. So TVG is still out for a while. Our keeper, Mies Bakker, is still out for a while. It's just bad. It's just really bad. This is the actual table I wanted you guys to see because I don't think this was in FM24. This is actually a cool view for once in FM26, but you can actually sort it by the time that they've missed. You can also sort it by the percentage of matches that they've missed. So you can see some of our good players have missed upwards of 25% of our matches. People like Shetty Barglin, who was a starting right wing back. Jeffrey Fortes, who is a utility player that is very important. TVG, our star center back. Mies LaRose, our star midfielder, and Mies Bakker, the man who won the Golden Glove last year for us in the second division, has missed months already. And then, of course, a very important player who is now going to be out, I think, for another potentially 3 months. He just picked his injury up. Kevin Monzialo, not going to be great, that we're going to miss him a while. So without keep throwing all these excuses out there, you can just see that we have had a lot of injuries. And that comes with the territory of this save. So that's where we sit through the first 17 matches. Rafi Walters playing good. He started off really bad, but he's on 8 goals, 3 assists, averaging just under a 7 in the league. You can see that he is flying off the charts when it comes to his progression. His composure is up to an 11. His decisions up to a 7. I think his heading has went up to a 14. I know his pace is way up. He's got 15 pace now, which is great. He could be absolutely deadly when we spring forward on those counterattacks. Not really a lot of other good players in the league. Hachima Chefe, he's also the other one that's been playing great, also sitting on 8 goals. He's also progressing at 26 years old, which is great to see. Thank God he signed that new contract with us, and we didn't have to go and replace him with a youngster in the squad. Now, the goalkeeper situation has been very bad. Again, Mies Bakker injured, but the 8 games he played, he's conceded 16 in those 8 matches. So he was averaging 2 goals a game, averaging a 6.6 match rating. So we've used a lot of goalkeepers. We used Pep. Pep's played 4 games. He's allowed 8. The same thing, 2 goals a game, averaging a 6.4. So his rating is much worse. And then we've also used the young boy that I keep calling Bismillah. Clearly that's not his name, but he's also been not playing amazing. He's averaging a 6.65, 8 goals conceded in his 5 matches. You can even see I subbed off one of the keepers at one point and put him in at about the 50th minute because I was so fed up with how bad our keepers have been playing. Now, when you see all 3 keepers playing like that, it obviously means that it's just the team. You know what I mean? It's not the keepers. It's just that it's hard to stop the Eredivisie quality when a lot of these guys on the team are good for the 3rd division players. And that's just the reality of the team that we have. But for the most part, they are all playing. A couple of the guys that didn't play a lot last year are playing a lot this year. Giga Chaid Al-Achi, Giga Chad, he's got 11 starts, 1 goal, 2 assists, averaging a 7, and you can see he's progressing. I mean, at 6'4", that can play on the wing and in the midfield, he's going to be an important player for us just with that kind of size and versatility. Elias Boom isn't playing as great as I was hoping, considering on paper to start the year he was one of our better players. The 21-year-old Moroccan international not really progressing a ton either. He's played 5 matches on the starting 11, 7 off the bench, only has 1 goal, no assist to show for it, and you can see his average rating is really poor. Most games that he was starting, he got off early because he was, just dropping stinker after stinker, and I don't know why. Now, the other thing about him, he's got one determination. You know, I don't think he's going to progress much when he doesn't really have the drive that we're looking for. And before we go on to the next parts, some of these guys have made their pro appearances, like David Busby, who has 1 goal finally for the club. He's been playing here and there because of injuries, coming in mostly at this left wing position, which is not his natural spot, but we had so many injuries at one point. That's just kind of what we have to do. So one to look out for there. Billy Mills has been playing good, the guy who we played a little bit last season. You can see he's got 7 starts, 2 off the bench, averaging about a 6.7. But no goals, no assists. He did get his first pro club. This is in FIFA. He got his first pro team goal in the cup. Still looking for one in the league, but again, you can see he's progressing well, playing very well also. And then the last one is Colin Mierzorg, who did get a goal in the Eredivisie. In his 1 start, he had 1 goal, played really well, and you can see he's also playing really well in the U19s with 9 goals, 7 assists, and he's performing great. So we're probably going to see a little bit more of him throughout this season as we keep picking up all these injuries and just kind of running through things. Now, one that hasn't been doing well is Al Hassan Sulemana. He's got 2 starts, 7 matches off the bench, no goals, no assists to show for it. Not the greatest, match rating, but he is a 16-year-old striker that's getting thrown directly into the Eredivisie, and he's only good for the 3rd division. So don't really know what else more we could expect. The last one I am going to talk about before we move on to the next youth intake is Franz Prinsen. We do have to get him a face. We talked about him when we first got him in the youth intake. I think he's grown because he's 6'5" now. Might have to double check, but I swear he was 6'4". Either way, the left-footed center back, he did make a start for us in the cup appearance, played really well, averaged a 7.3, had 1 assist, and you can see he's just going off the charts with his development all over. We really need to work on his technical side. He doesn't have the best heading, even though he's 6'5". His marking is 10, his tackling's only 8, but there is a player here, especially with the height and him being left-footed. So potentially, sooner rather than later, we could see more of the Prinsen coming into the lineup. So that is the mid-season report for the second season out here in the Eredivisie, and you know the drill. Next time we cut, we are going to be in April to see how the second youth intake treated us, and hopefully we get, I don't know, man. Hopefully we get some good depth. Hopefully we get maybe a star or 2 in there, but I haven't seen anything about this year kind of. Oh, never mind. That's weird. Okay, it says it's going to be an excellent youth intake, but every group rating so far is a D. So let's hope it's not all Ds, even though it says it's going to be excellent. No idea what we're going to get, but either way, I'm going to cut, and we will be back in April to see just what this turns out to be. All right, we are back. And it is time again for another youth intake here at FC Den Bosch. But before we hop into that, we've played 10 more matches since we last saw each other. And as you can see, we've climbed up the table a little bit. We've crept up into 13th place. We have 26 points now, but we are not fully safe enough to start feeling comfortable. I will say Den Haag are probably going down. They're 8 points off of 17th, and they're 9 points off of getting into that relegation playoff spot. So they're pretty good as going down. But for us, with 26, we are only 2 points safe of the relegation playoff zone, and we're only 5 points safe of the actual relegated spot in 17. So with 7 matches left, there is a lot of of tight games coming up. So we're probably going to be playing a lot of them in the last handful of matches. But the reason that we are here today is youth intake. And as you can see on the screen, it looks even better than last year. I know, Joey, how's that possible? I don't know. All I know is our head of youth and the club, they're apparently cooking. This could be a golden generation led by Mohammed bin Hamou. Now, I haven't looked yet. I've only been on this screen. But there's 6 elite prospects. 6 people with 5-star potential is what I'm thinking. So, and it is 6 elite prospects and 5 top prospects. And there's 1 top prospect that has 4.5-star potential. So, this could be a great one. Okay, he's saying Muhammad is the star of the bunch, and he's a left wing back. Looks like he can play winger and everything, but let's start from top down. We're going to work our way down. Actually, let's do this. Let's save the 2-star current abilities for last, okay? So we're going to start at the top. Barking Onder, a Dutch, and I bet Turkish. Yeah, Dutch and Turkish international, youth international, but either way, he can play left wing with inside, cutting inside. He's got a right foot. He can also play midfield, which is nice, and he can play D-mid, which is weird for somebody that has 2 tackling, but either way, 5'9", pretty good determination, balanced personality. I see more of a winger here for sure. He's quite pacey already at 15 years old. Has some good mental ability also for this young. Decent first touch to go along with dribbling and finishing. So definitely see him more as an inside winger type of player, which is nice. We always need more of that. The second player from the top is Seeb Raj, a target forward. Wow, okay, 5'11", a left-footed striker. Definitely very, very good in the air with 16 heading, really good finishing too, 14 finishing, 11 first touch, 8 determination, but balanced personality, so not bad. A very good, potential captain here, 13 leadership, 11 teamwork. His off the ball is 10, composure's 11. Not the quickest, but pretty strong. Need to work on that jumping a little bit since he is only 5'9", but a really good potential target forward here in Seeb Raj. Now the next one is another winger. Oh my God, what a name! You know, it's that guy, man. It's young Ricky out here. He is Dutch and Suriname, so a very interesting combo right there. I like to see it. Another left side winger with a right foot, so perfect for what we're doing. He is unambitious with 3 determination, so that's not great, but very pacey with 15 excel, 10 pace, good flair, good first touch technique, and not too bad of dribbling for a young 15-year-old winger. So I like that. And so far, don't forget, all 3 of those guys have 5-star potential, possibly. The next one is a left-footed center back, DM left back, Danny Blom. 6'1", not the strongest, but pretty pacey for a center back. Some good mentals in here, good bravery, decisions, teamwork, positioning's not bad, heading's not terrible, marking and tackling are great for a 15-year-old. And I know I've said it before, but you can't train tackling. So when you get a young defender that comes in with double-digit tackling, you're off to a great start. So Danny Blom, 6'1", left-footed center back. I like to see that. But now, here's where we get into the gems of the bunch. We have Mohammed bin Hamou, who is apparently the gem of the group, and he looks really good. Okay, so I guess he's naturally a left winger who can play left wing back. 2-footed, almost completely. Strong right foot, very strong left foot. Knocks the ball past opponent, dives into tackles already, having good player traits at 15 years old. 5'8", balanced personality, 14 determination. He has 12 excel, 11 pace, 10 stamina, 14 agility, 13 flair, 14 determination, 13 teamwork, 11 aggression, and then 10 dribbling, 10 crossing to go along with 12 technique, and 9 marking, 8 tackling. Okay, I definitely see a very good player here in Mohammed. He is Belgian, which is very fun. Belgian and Moroccan combo who came in through our youth intake. So very, very versatile player here. Could be like a Bale or a reverse Bale. Maybe he starts as a winger and he develops more into that wingback position. I think right now we probably need more of that left wingback, so that's probably where he's going to end up playing, especially with that, you know, dynamic ability he has of the pace, the flair, the crossing, and the dribbling, with not bad marking and tackling. So he's going to be interesting, but don't be surprised if you see him getting called up pretty soon. And then we have another 2-star current ability striker. Oh my God. Okay, yeah. This kid's insane. 5'7", fairly ambitious, right-footed, 14 determination, off the ball's 13, anticipation's 12, composure's 8, decisions are 9, pacey as hell, already great stamina, 13 excel, 12 pace, 12 agility, 13 balance, 14 stamina, 18 teamwork, 16 work rate, 7 technique, 7 passing. All of these technicals are insane already. 12 dribbling, 15 finishing, 12 first touch, 12 heading, 11 long shots. He's already the 5th best striker on the team. And really, that's a winger. Kevin's a winger. So he's our 3rd best striker on paper, and he's already better than Alassane Sulemana, apparently, who we got last intake, who's very good. Okay, Kane Skapema could be the one. I know I say that a lot. We've only had 2 youth intakes, but he looks kind of insane. Okay. Tobago Caudle, great name. Oh, finally a giant goalkeeper. 6'5", 15 determination, fairly determined. Great punching, handling, communication, and aerial reach to start. I love to see that from a Tobago. Great name. Dutch and South African. Great combo. And these are the top prospects. These aren't even elite anymore, and they're looking this good. Tyrell Bouman, who is Dutch and Suriname again. A winger and a 10. Very pacey. It's kind of about it right now. Good free kick taker too. But hey, remember, all of these guys are probably going to develop, and all of these guys are probably going to play at one point because, well, this is our transfer market right here. A 6'5", almost 2-footed center back. Great jumping reach, of course. Really good technique. Great mentals, but needs to work on kind of everything else. But still, his name is Goof van Grudel. That could be the greatest name I've ever seen. Yeah, in my FM26 saves yet. Goof van Grootel. If there's a Dutch name that is just so Dutch, it's Goof van Grootel. Lex de Ruyter, also a great name. He can play 10 and D mid, but he can't play center mid. That makes sense. Wow, he actually looks really good. 13 determination, unambitious personality. If we can mentor him correctly, though, we can get that personality, off of unambitious. He actually looks very nice for a number 10 that we don't really play, but he's versatile, so definitely look out for Lex in the future. There could be something there. And then the last one in the top is Sam Van Butselaar. Hey man, super determined, super pacey, 5'3". Not bad crossing and dribbling to start. A little bit of two-footed, more of just a natural out-and-out winger. Pacey, can cross the ball, has good flair, so you never know. But, I mean, we'll be honest. You guys know the stars of the show. Muhammad is crazy at left wing back, left wing, right wing, wherever. He's two-footed, very pacey at 5'8". Good flair, determination, technique, teamwork. I really like the looks of that. Okay, so good for the third division. That's great. And then Kane. I mean, this kid's insane. I don't even know what to say about this. This kid could genuinely, oh no. One of his cons is that he might be fairly susceptible to injuries. I don't like that. A very committed player, and he's fairly ambitious, which is great. But if he's injury prone, that's going to suck, because he legitimately, right now, I'm not kidding you guys, I'm probably not even going to put him on the U19s, especially when we have 7 matches left where we need to stay the course so we don't get relegated. I'm not going to lie to you guys, Kane Skipima could be instantly thrown into the first team and never see the U19s. So, yeah. Wow, what do you think? Okay, so, like I said to you guys, we have 7 matches left. We are barely above the survival. The good news is, a couple of the teams that we have in our last 7 are Den Haag, who's dead last, and then a couple of these down here are mid-table and lower teams, so there's chances that we can get some points. So in the next 7 games, I'm probably going to play them along with you guys in a nice, concise, compact way, and we're going to hope to God that we can stay safe of relegation in our first season up, because we are in debt and we need that money. If we take a look at the club finances, you will see we are creeping our way down to $3.5 million in debt. And obviously that's not a good thing. Never want that. But in a save like this, it's really not a good thing, because we need to upgrade our facilities. We need to upgrade our training. We need to upgrade the youth intake facilities. We need to upgrade the stadium facilities, all of that. And if we keep going down in debt, the board's never going to approve that. As you can see, the training is average still. We need that to come up, probably the most important. Youth being good, I'm fine with for now, especially with the 2 back-to-back intakes we've had. But if our training facilities are average and they go, down over time with technology approval, all that stuff in FM, our players are never going to hit the highest of their ceiling. They're never going to be able to get the best training because we don't have the best training. So we need to make sure that we stay up for many reasons, but a big one is financial. So that's the plan. Great youth intake. I'm going to get all those kids signed. We're going to give them some pictures in game for the important ones, and then we are going to chug through these last 7 games of the season and hope to God that we have some good ones. So I will see you guys in those matches. So, with 6 matches left, we come into a very favorable matchup at home against Rock Bottom Den Haag, and we have to make these points absolutely count. And realistically, we need a big win here, as Hachima Chefe sends in a dangerous ball, and ultimately it is an own goal from Den Haag that puts us in the driver's seat 1-0. And then later into the game, TVG swings a ball out wide to Stan Mass, who sings it on over to El Achi, who gives it back to Hachima Chefe, who doubles our lead for a 2-0 victory. And with 5 matches now left, that takes us up to the 13th spot in the league, sitting 5 points now safe of the relegation zone. But next up, we head away to Ajax, the league leaders, and let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. This was not the result that we wanted. Maybe, just maybe, we were hoping for a draw like earlier in the season. But let me tell you guys, this one was a 4-0 slaughter in favor of the Dutch Giants. Now we drop to 14th Luckily, still 5 points away from safety, but still, bad news to come as Rafi Walters is now out the next 1 to 2 matches with a sprained ankle he picked up in the Ajax game. Now back home, we go up against 13th place Groningen, who are 1 point above us. And this game was an absolute battle back and forth as Groningen takes the lead early, and then coming right back at us, they're down our throats, but TVG gets an interception. We turn on the brakes like we do all season long. Kane Skipema up top leading the line since our star striker is out, and we turn the ball over for a Groningen goal again, and they double the lead. But the captain stakes up for a late penalty, and TVG absolutely bangs it back to bring us within 1 late in the game. Game is on. Now, the pressure is on. You can see how the blue shield is performing as we're trying to suffocate them and launch the counterattack, and Kevin Falita does it all over to Al Achi. Sulemana looks like he could get his first goal of the year, but he passes it backwards, and Hachima Chefe brings us back level, where we share points with FC Groningen, who stays 1 point above us. But as we enter the final stretch, you can see we are still sitting safe, now 6 points above safety. But the next game, again, this is the biggest one yet, away against Feyenoord, and if we even get 1 point here, we stay safe in the season. All we need is 1 point, as you can see on the table. NEC, Hercules, Den Haag, they all keep dropping points below us in the 3 relegation zones. So if we can come out of this match, against Feyenoord away, we get safety. And Miesbacher is tested early, and I can just tell you guys, this entire game we were tested. Feyenoord was all over us. They wanted revenge from that win we got against them earlier in the season, and it is absolutely a heater as Rafi Walters sends a great ball over the top to El Achi, who's starting at left wing thanks to a broken wrist from Achima Chefe a day before this match. So the lineup is weak. We're out Chefe. Luckily, Rafi Walters is back as now we're moving the ball again, trying to start up some danger as Etienne, who's been the starting right back this season, playing decent, sends in a dangerous ball to Rafi Walters, but El Achi gets his head on it and sends it over the bar. Now, a dangerous free kick from Feyenoord as they try to go top bins, but Miesbacher stops it, and Stan Maas clears the danger for now. Coming up later in the match, now Manzialo trying to start the counterattack. Mies Laros sends it back over to Etienne, who's looking, gives it back to Laros. Laros cuts it into Kevin Falita, and Kevin Falita, our number 6, the consistent 6, bangs in a goal as we take a 1-0 lead, but trouble is not over as Feyenoord are now knocking down the door. Their left winger is trying to make something happen. Luckily, we get some blocks. Kevin Falita sends it out. Ralphie Walters sends it all the way back, but just as long as we were staying afloat, just as long as we are now going to give up a goal, almost, I had you guys there. Trouble is not over though. They're still down our throats as they are everywhere trying to get one back, and sadly they do get one back for a 1-1 draw, but the result stands, and you can see right there we avoid relegation in our first year back. I'm not going to take any questions at this time, but for this end of the season press conference, I thought it was important to just, let everybody know that I'm very proud with how the season went. We played a long 34 matches. We made a quarter-final cup run at the very end of the season. Things came, thick and fast, and we had a lot of injuries. We had tons of young players that we had to pull up and play, and a lot of players that weren't quite familiar with the system yet. But after 34 matches, after the first season back in the top flight of Dutch football since 2005, over 21 seasons, I'm just proud that the boys fought for the badge, they fought for the club, they fought for everything that we are here fighting for every day, and we survived relegation. We'll be back next year, back in the Eredivisie, back to battle again. And when I tell you that the boys will be back and better, we will be. So that's it. I thank you all for coming out here. I thank you all for supporting the team and the club week in and week out. And I promise you all that next year, the Dragons will be back to to fight another season in the Eredivisie, and we're going to climb the table. And so there we have it. We have survived relegation, first year back in the Eredivisie after being promoted last season. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm proud of the 14th place finish. We didn't get dragged down into the relegation playoff battle. We weren't really fighting super hard against it in the last few games of the season. Like you guys just saw, we did clinch survival in the 1-1 draw against Feyenoord with about 2 or 3 matches left. So it was nice that we didn't have to fight all the way to the last game. We did fight until about the 31st match, but still, there was some positives to take from the season. Obviously, we had 7 wins. We had a lot of draws, and I remember talking about that early on in the season in the midway recap that we were catching up, where the draws could have been good for us or bad for us. But I mean, even if you half these, hell, even if you take a third of these and turn them into wins, we probably skyrocket up the table and start talking about a mid-table finish. You know what I mean? So hopefully next season we can take 2 or 3 more draws off and put them in the win column and kind of see ourselves rise up to maybe a 12th place finish. Now next year I'm obviously not expecting a giant jump. You know, we finished 14th. We obviously can't make the team better, quickly at least. So I'm hoping next year we can creep up to 13th or 12th and just slowly but surely keep rising our way up the top. That's all we can keep asking in this type of save. I do want to go over some stats here with you guys at the end of the year for my guys that are out there interested in this type of stuff. We finished dead last in possession, which kind of was expected. We play the blue shield, which we don't play with the ball a lot. We look to counterattack, and obviously when we get the ball, playing against better oppositions, we weren't going to hold it for that long. Next year, I'd like to improve on this. I'd like to be around the mid-40s, 42 to 45% possession. I think even going up that much will help us. But yeah, overall, didn't have the ball much. It's kind of what we thought was going to happen. But when it comes to goal scoring, we were 11th in the league for goals. So we were mid-table when it comes to scoring. We had 45 goals in the 34 matches. So we averaged just around close to 1.5 goals a game over the 34 match season. And you can see the teams that were getting relegated, they weren't scoring. Den Haag that finished dead last, they only scored 25 goals in the whole season. And we outperformed a couple of the teams that actually did finish higher up the table than us. So again, next year, if we can continue to get better and holding the ball a little bit more, and you'll see our big problem coming up, which was the defense. And then there's some other stats like this that I wanted to show you guys where the expected goals for, we were 7th. So if we converted a lot more of our chances that were good enough to get onto the XG, who knows where we could have finished. But that happens with young teams. That happens with teams like us where we faced a lot of injuries towards the end of the season. We had wingers out. Rafi missed a couple weeks. We had people pretty much missing game time everywhere. But here is where we really had problems. Goals allowed, people that were the best in this had less than 40 goals allowed. People that were bad at this, like us, down in the bottom 5, we allowed 61 goals in our 34 matches. And it was mostly because of the midfield and defense. The goalkeepers, they tried their best to save goals. I'll show you that here in a second. Mies Bakker almost led the league in blocked shots per 90 minutes, so he was just getting peppered back there. So hopefully next season, we can kind of make the jump of playing a little bit better, being a little bit more settled into the Eredivisie as we've been here, because last year, when we were in the first division, we know it's not the formation. Because, again, last year, when we were in the second division, we had a very good goalkeeping we had a very good clean sheet record and a very good, goals allowed record. We played great defensively down there, so it's not the formation. It's definitely the better players, better quality of teams, better everything up here that we're facing against. So goal scoring wasn't that big of a problem for us, but defending was a very big problem for us this season. Let's check out some player stats now, because we did have a few players that actually played very well this season, and none other than Rafi Walters. First of all, this Noah Ohio man went off the deep end. 34 league matches, he had 29 goals, and he only played 30. The guy was insane, so shout out to that guy. Hats off to him for winning the Golden Boot. But as you see, Rafi Walters, the 20-year-old, finished top 10 in his first season in Eredivisie football with 14 goals. Hachima Chefe just outside of that with 12. So we did have some good scoring players when it came to our front. I don't believe we had anybody super high up in the assists, but Stan Mass, the left wingback, racked up 9. So he's actually not that far out of the top 5. So a very good season from a couple of our guys, which is what you want to see. But then if we deep dive into the actual team and how everybody performed, well, realistically, the goals came from Rafi and Hachim, just like we just talked about. But let's look at some players to wrap up the season. Rafi Walters is absolutely exploding with his potential. You can see his dribbling is up to 11 now. His composure is 12. Decisions are 9. And if I'm not mistaken, when we started the save, his decisions were 5 or 6. So they have almost doubled in just under 2 seasons. Anticipation is 8. His pace is blistering now with 14 excel, 15 pace at his big 6'2" stature. He had 14 goals and 4 assists in his first year up in the top flight of Dutch football. And in the cup, I know I mentioned it in the press conference. We did make a cup quarterfinal run, which I'll go ahead and show you guys here. We didn't make it, all the way. PSV ended up in winning it, and that's because we faced Ajax in the quarterfinals, where we only lost 2-1, and we had to take them all the way to extra time for them to beat us. But in the games we played, Rafi Walters won the Golden Boot for the Dutch Cup. The guy was on fire. He had 7 goals in 4 appearances, beating out Noah Ohio, the man who won the Golden Boot of the Eredivisie. So anyway, all in all, he had a 21-goal campaign for the club, and at 20 years old, who knows how far this ceiling can go for him. He has a great goal-scoring record with the club. You can see in 69 appearances, he has 31 goals, 9 assists. So he's off to a blazing start, and I'm very, very happy about that. Now, Hachim Achefe, the other guy who was a big goal scorer for us this year, he had 12 goals in the league, only 3 assists, so not much of a chance creator for the club that I was kind of hoping when it comes to the wingers, but still a great season. Very happy that he ended up signing back with us, and now he only has about a year left on that contract, so we're going to see what happens with that. Now, one of the guys we talked about early in the season that was a kind of a surprise to be one of our better players on paper was Elias Boom. He only ended up starting in 12 matches. He featured in 20 total, but as you can see, towards the end of the year, he picked up a lower stress fracture in his back, so not the greatest way to end out his first campaign with us as a, out-and-out starter. Not a bad season for him, 3 goals, 1 assist, but his average rating was just really, really poor. He only averaged a 6.62. It was a very odd season for the man. We tried to play him at his preferred position, which was over on the left, but a lot of things didn't go his way. Now, one thing that was a very disappointing season was Kevin Manzialo. One of the stars from last season's campaign. He did have a few injuries throughout the season that I think it never let him get consistent. He would play 3 or 4 games in a row and then get injured for 2 or 3 games. So all in all, this season, in our 34 games, he only played in 22. He had 3 goals, 2 assists, nothing great. And again, not a great average. He averages 6.68, so nothing too good from Kevin. Hopefully next year, when we're a little bit more settled in, he can perform a bit better. Now, Kevin, the other Kevin, did play pretty well in his games. He had 15 off the bench appearances, 9 starts, averages 6.8 with 2 goals. Never going to be one of our big assist guys. The midfield for us, I don't think really many of them will be that big of assist creators. They're more of the hard workers. They're more the guys that win the ball, get the ball up. Win the ball, get the ball up. So he played great, though. I really like this guy. I've always said that since the beginning of the save, just because he's so well-rounded. He's only 27. He can play with us for probably another 6 or 7 years, depending on, injuries and things like that. But a very good year for him. Now, one more we need to talk about is TVG. He's the current captain of the club. He had a great season with 2 goals, 1 assist, averaged just under a 6.8 back there at center back in our very poor defense. But the reason we need to talk about the guy is because he is wanted by NAC, who is in our division. Now, they're not that much better of a team than us. They finished right around us, so I don't know why he would want to leave, but you never know what's going to happen into the offseason. I really hope we can keep him, as he's only 27, he's 6'4", and again, he is the club captain, so we will monitor that situation. Now, we should talk about some of the younger guys on the team. The people like the Colin Meerzorg, who came in last year's youth intake, he featured in 9 matches, 5 of them off the bench, 4 of them starting, and he played pretty well. 2 goals, 1 assist, averaged a 6.85. So going into the next season, after he has a whole offseason and a whole preseason to keep developing, I think next season we're going to see a lot of young Colin probably starting or at least featuring in probably close to 15 or 20 matches next year. He's two-footed. He doesn't have the best pace, but his technical and mental abilities are quite good for a young 16-year-old winger here. So definitely keep your eye out for Colin. Now, another one that actually played quite a bit and is pretty much becoming one of the best players on the team is 17-year-old Billy Mills. As you can see, he is valued astronomically high for the club. His low end range is 12 million, his high end is 15 million, and we did just sign him up on a 3-year bigger contract. So he's with us for 3 more seasons. They did, however, hard lock in his contract with his agent a minimum release fee of 18 million. And since he's already valued close to that, who knows what's going to happen, but for now, he's with us for 3 more seasons. He's only 17, and he's actually a good enough player for the Eredivisie, which is huge. He played 16 matches starting, 4 off the bench. Didn't pick up that many injuries, but we rotated a lot because of how demanding that center mid role is for us. He averaged a 6.8. He had 2 assists, and overall, I just loved the quality he brought once he was in the game. 5'10", his physicals are really improving. I think when we first started this save, he had about a 6 pace. They're up to 10 now. His stamina is great. His strength's getting up there. His mentals are popping off everywhere. And then when it comes to his technicals, he's got everything we want. He has decent first touch, good passing, good marking, good tackling, and great technique. So Billy Mills next season, coming into his 3rd season and our 3rd season, I think he's pretty much locked up one of the 2 starting midfield roles, and that other spot is going to be a little bit of a rotation until we find somebody that really meshes well with Billy and really can kind of dominate and establish themselves as that other starter. Now, somebody else that I think could start using a bigger and bigger role is Franz Prinsen. You'll notice he now has a face, the 16-year-old absolute unit, 6'5", left-footed center back. He's played the last 2 games of the season just because I knew we were safe, and I wanted to kind of get him more and more used to the first team because, again, I think next season we could see a little bit more of him. Now, again, every time we talk about him, he's a weird one. He's only got 8 heading at his 6'5" frame. His marking and tackling are 10 and 9, so they're not the best. And then he has a random 10 crossing, 12 dribbling, and 6 first touch. So I don't really know what the guy's best role is. He's 6'5". He's a 2-star at wingback. He's a 2-star at center back, and he's also a 1.5-star at D mid. So he's kind of a little bit of a, jack of all trade, which I don't mind. There could be sometimes next year we see a 6'5" monster on the left wing back, but realistically, he's probably going to come back and play center back. Again, he's not quite ready for the first team. He's going to be with the first team and probably will be a rotation guy if people like TVG potentially leave or when we have to rotate because of injuries. So just wanted to let you guys see him again and show you that he is developing quite well. Now, someone that didn't have a great season, and sadly one that we were hoping was going to have a little bit of flashes, rather, is Al Hassan Sulemana. The number 65, the kid who the club put all the future in when it came to giving him that very special number 65 jersey. If you guys remember from the intro of this episode, the 65 jersey is something that the club does when we give it to a player making his first season appearance, and it's somebody that the club really thinks has a bright future. Now, he'll never get rid of the 65 until he establishes himself as a real first teamer and picks his own number. So he's got the 65 probably for another year or 2, but as you can see, he did start 5 games with injury time and a couple of rotation matches needed with Rafi. He played 12 off the bench, but he never found the back of the net in the Eredivisie. And I don't want it to sound like it's a disappointment, because the kid was 16. You know what I mean? He's very, very, very young. He had 1 assist, but overall, facts are facts. He averaged a 6.46, really didn't play well. But again, he was playing up against grown men that play in the Champions League, grown men that have played in this league for maybe as long as he's been alive. So next season, I think he'll be a little bit more settled. It didn't factor into his development. He has been developing fantastic. The bad run of form he had didn't really hinder his development or anything like that. So I still have plenty of faith. I still have plenty of faith in Al for next season. I think he's going to be a big contributor, but I did want to show you guys that he had, a rough first start to his season. Now, we did see some features from the very, very new kids that we just had in this year's youth intake. Mohamed did come in and play 2 games again in the end of the season when I knew we were already safe. He played both being a starter. He broke the club's record for the youngest ever player to wear the badge, wear the kit. 15 years old, and we're already breaking him into the first team. And you can see he's already went up 1 in dribbling, and it's only just been about a month since he got to the club. Didn't play good in those 2 games. He averaged a 6.3, but still, he did make his first club appearance already at 15. And then the last one was Kane Skapema, the new 16-year-old striker. He did also feature in those last 2 games of the season. Didn't score, didn't assist, averages 6.3. So again, not great, but we wanted to get the 2 very new kids in and make sure they were acclimated with the system. Now, Kane's wearing the number 45, which is something I do with young strikers because 4 + 5 = 9. And I think Kane could be our future number 9 in the season. Mohamed's wearing number 77 just to kind of show that he is a winger, but a weird winger because he can play left wing back. So that is a very long-winded yap session from your boy, but I'm excited about this stuff, man. That is how we end year number 2. We finish in 14th place. We finish with a really good youth intake. We finish with a really good team that we have built. I think it's a team that it could do what we want to do. I think it's a place that we could get them to in a couple years. I think we could start cracking into Europa Conference League or Europa League. And I don't mean maybe 2 years, but 3 or 4, I think we could start creeping up to that 7th place in your Eredivisie, potentially. And for the players' contracts that are ending this season, we do have 5. Now, 1 is for sure already leaving, Sebastian Carlson, who we never really played much, even in the 2nd division last season. All in all for us, he played 17 games last year, 15 were off the bench. This year, he only played once in the Eredivisie, so we wish him well. He's leaving on a free, I think, to go back to his home country. He is indeed. So, Sebastian, didn't play much for us, pal, but, thanks for the service. Pep, the keeper, he's doing a little bit of a chefe where he opted out. He doesn't want to talk to us yet. So, honestly, I wouldn't be mad if he walked, even though he is a good backup. But we have so much young talent now that are 16, 17-year-old keepers. I wouldn't be mad if he left. I probably will try to keep EJ Semedo, just because he's good depth at the wing. He can play left wing back. He's versatile. He's nothing special, but we'll probably try to keep him around because, again, we need the depth. And then we will definitely be trying to offer a contract to Shetty Barglin, the great right wing back in our first season. Didn't play great this season. Wasn't really the starter out and out, as we had Etienne actually come and take over that role, but you never know. So we're probably going to try to sign back everybody besides Pep and Sebastian. Reda, the center back here, again, just a solid center back, 25 years old. Nothing too crazy, but he's good. He's well-rounded. He's 25, so he's got a good head on his shoulder, and I think we'll probably keep him around. So now, officially, after doing all of that yapping, we are done with the year number 2 recap. And now, finally, I'm done yapping with the screen. We are done with the year number 2 recap. And it's been a journey. It's already been a blast. I really am happy with how everything's going. Hopefully a couple of you guys out there are also enjoying the series that we got cooking. I've been having so much fun with it. I can't stop playing. You might even be able to hear my voice giving out. It's almost 2 a.m. tonight because I just haven't been able to stop playing, and I wanted to keep recording so I could keep getting the new episodes out. So, like always, we're going to leave you guys with an outro show from the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio so you guys can just listen in to more news, more tidbits, more facts, more all that kind of fun stuff. But before we hop into the outro, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that's been watching it. All the YouTube corny stuff, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, slap yourself silly, reach for the TV, say what's good to me, whatever's going on, and I will see you guys back here for episode number 3.
Good evening, Den Bosch. Good evening to the Blue and White faithful, wherever you're listening from tonight. This one feels different. Not because we lifted a trophy, not because we shocked the league, but because we're still here. FC Den Bosch are officially staying up in the Eredivisie, 14th place, 34 points. No playoff, no drop, no last day heartbreak. And for a club back in the top flight for the first time since 2005, under this new philosophy, under debt, under pressure, this really matters. And it matters a lot. Tonight might not be a crazy victory lap, but it is a very crazy and big deep breath. A big deep breath of relief. If you want the honest truth, this season felt like living in the margins. For months, the table stayed safe-ish, but the math very much looked otherwise. One bad run and we're dragged into the relegation zone. One more injury, one bounce, one missed tackle, and everything changes. But yet, it didn't. Den Bosch finished 14th, 5 points clear of the drop, and that's not luck, that's resilience. Now let's talk numbers, because the numbers tell the story better than the vibes ever could. We had the worst in the league possession with 39%. We had the best in the league tackles with 526. We had the 11th best goal scoring output with 45 goals. The 5th most goal allowed with 61. But yet we had the 7th highest expected goals and the 7th most shots per match. If you didn't watch us week in and week out, that probably doesn't make any sense. Low possession, but strong attacking metrics. High concession total, but not relegated. And that's because this team didn't try to be something it wasn't. We didn't dominate the ball, we didn't build patiently from the back. We absorbed pressure, we tackled, and then we broke forward, and when the chances came, we went all out. Was it pretty? Not really, but was it efficient? Yes. One tweet from a listener absolutely says it all. Watching Den Bosch this year took 5 years off my life, but I would do it again. We didn't fake being Eredivisie quality, we fought our way into it. And that's about as accurate as it gets. We didn't try to dominate teams. We didn't try to play this sexy brand of football that we really can't right now. We played the blue shield, where we absorbed the pressure and then sprung forward. You don't survive a season like this without the individual stepping up. And let's start with the name that everybody knows by now. Rafi Walters, now 20 years old, he had 14 goals in the Eredivisie. That landed him top 10 in the league, tied for 8th. And then somehow, he had 7 goals in the Dutch Cup, winning the entire Golden Boot for the competition. That's not just talent, that's timing, that's nerve. That's a player that is growing up fast to wear that number 9 on his back and carry the team. And besides him, Hachima Chefe, last year's contract holdout, and this year's one of our better players. 12 league goals, quiet, efficient, never hiding, but in a system that asks attackers to defend first, that output really matters. And then there's the engine room. Stan Mass. The left wingback had 9 assists and 85 tackles. He was top 10 in assists and was second in the entire league for tackles made. A wingback who did everything except for score. The guy was literally the engine of that tactic the entire year. If you're wondering what built not bought looks like on the pitch, Stan Mass is the answer. And then we also need to talk about Mies Bakker, the goalkeeper who picked up a very long injury and then came back like he didn't miss any time. He only played in 22 of the 34 matches, but in those matches, he averaged 5.2 saves per 90 minutes, the 3rd highest in the league, and only 3 clean sheets. So you know that stat line looks rough until you remember the context. Just think about how many shots he was facing a game. He faced fatigue, he faced second balls and broken shape, but yet he stood up enough times for the team to survive. I think without his play, we probably are looking at another year back in the 2nd division. And now this is where we stay honest. Den Bosch lost possession more than almost anybody in the league. Too often we won the ball and then instantly gave it right back. That means waves of pressure, shots piling up, legs getting heavy. You can't rely on leading the league in tackles every year and expect this same outcome. The defense needs help from the midfield, from better ball retention, from moments of calm. And yes, next season will be just as hard, maybe even harder, because other clubs will now know who we are. They're not going to underestimate us. Other clubs are also going to strengthen. They're going to have tape on us. That surprise factor is gone. So, even though this season didn't promise comfort, it did promise truth. Den Bosch stayed up without spending, without panic, and without abandoning this new philosophy that is the face of the club now. Joy is allowed tonight, relief is earned, but nobody at the club thinks the job is done. The Dragons survived, and now we have to evolve. This has been the Dragon's Den Blue and White Radio End of the Year Special. Thanks for listening, thanks for believing, and we'll see you next season back up in the Eredivisie.